Yes. So, everybody here might be wondering, how come we have this 200-gallon water tank here right on TEDx talk? We have a story to share with you.
Yeah. So 2 weeks ago, we were in Alosta looking at some organic farms and visiting some relatives. And we met this sort of boisterous, rich vegetable farmer from Cameron Highlands. He's a wholesaler, he's a farmer himself. He told us that every single day, 200 tons of vegetables from Cameron Highlands is shipped to Singapore, or by land, by sea. Singapore takes 200 tons of vegetables from Cameron Highlands every single day. So imagine about 100 elephants lining up going to Singapore every day. Right? And he does not eat a single leaf of that vegetable, even though he's the farmer, or he's one of the farmers. He does not eat a single leaf. He eats vegetables from somewhere else. Why? Because the pesticides, he told us, in Cameron Highlands these days, the way they use it is crazy. It's so crazy that the bugs there are so strong, they've used so much pesticides that nowadays they use this black liquid, unnamed, no brand, nothing, from Thailand. They don't even know what it is. They take one cap of this liquid, just one small cap like this, and they mix it with 200 gallons of water, and they put it on their soil, and within 1 or 2 days, everything dies. His exact words. Everything dies. So that's the kind of vegetables that are being shipped from Cameron Highlands to Singapore. What about those in JB, right? You don't have to be a scientist. Just use Google. Just Google pesticides Cameron Highlands. And these are the top few search sites. So it's very obvious that what this guy who calls himself Dato' Kong, because he's rich, what he says he's not lying, it's true. It's true, it's very bad. Now, then we asked him, we said, hey, Dato' Kong, if this 200 tons of vegetables a day is going all the way to Singapore, what are the Singapore authorities doing about it? They're very strict, right? Don't they have testing and all that? How can they allow these vegetables in? And what he said really, really, really confused us all.
So I quote him in Chinese.
Yeah.
He said, 他们不吃我们的菜，他们吃大便啊。
So, for those who don't understand Chinese, he basically just said, if Singapore doesn't eat our vegetables, they can just go and eat there. So that's how helpless the situation is. Even the Singapore government doesn't have a chance, or it feels helpless, because that's the kind of vegetables that we're getting. Now, if you take one step deeper and you Google EUFSA, the European Food Safety Authority, and they did a test on all the vegetables that come into Europe from all over the world. And guess who is world number one? The most amount of pesticides found in the vegetables that is beyond limits, that means poisonous levels. Guess who is number one? Malaysia. We are even worse than China, Taiwan, India. I'm not saying they're bad, but we always say, the vegetables from China are full of pests. But we are worse. The world average that they found is out of 100 vegetables, you can see on top, about one vegetable, about 1% is beyond the limits of pesticides that are by the authorities, that is dangerous levels. They found that in Malaysia, it's 38%. So imagine if you take a sawi or a chai sim or kailan, out of every 10 kailan that you eat, 4 has pesticide levels that are dangerous. That is the vegetables that are going to Europe and Singapore. But what about the vegetables here? Can you imagine? What about the vegetables in our markets? So that got us really mad, right?
So this is a Malaysian problem. But somehow all of us would say that, well, it won't affect me lah. It's going to affect other families. No one in my family is affected. And we'll just leave it at that. Indifference. For us, 2 years ago, this thing got too close for comfort. What you see over here are actually our family and friends. They are relatives. And they are very young. The amazing thing behind all these smiley faces is that they are actually struggling with a lot of diseases. There's an alarming number of them suffering from shocking diseases that you wouldn't think would occur in young people. Take, for example, a lot of our women are having trouble conceiving. They first, how come get married, no children? They'll try all sorts of things, going all the way to IVF and sometimes still failing with IVF. We have 20-year-olds, 20-year-olds having to go for dialysis every other day because both of their kidneys are already gone. And 30-year-olds just married with young children being told that they have cancer. Can you imagine having to raise up young kids while you yourself are battling with cancer? Even our young children are not spared. Many of them, while they are going to school, every morning when we go to school, we will drink our Milo and eat, right? A lot of these young children, they have to be popping pills. Why? Severe skin allergies, plenty of steroids on your skin. They have to be taking plenty of antibiotics, and not just your normal kind, the kinds that are reserved for superbugs. All of them getting sick more often and taking longer for them to recover. We have one nagging thought. And what is that nagging thought? The nagging thought is that our food is slowly killing us.
So we completely lost trust in our food system, and I'm sure many of us have that suspicion. But we went from suspicion to feeling betrayed. And so what we did was we said, okay lah, doctor, engineer, 6 of us, 6 core families, we just, friends amongst us, we just were like, okay, we have to start growing our food. Let's prove that we can grow good food right here in JB, safe enough, and even better, more nutritious for our families. So one family 2 years ago, from one family growing for one for themselves, which is Lemuel's parents, we went to 4 families together with our farmer, our Sifu, the first picture that you saw. 4 families started growing for 10 families. And then now, 2 years later, we are 6 core families. Some of them are at the back, I can't see them. We are 6 core families, and we are talking about families, intergenerational. My mother is involved, his mom is involved. We are growing for 60 families and counting. 60 families, all the food grown right here in JB, local, nutritious, organically farmed, and microbes diverse. And we are growing about 300 kilos, about 1,000 shares a week, and still growing. We have a small waiting list, and we're growing, even sprouting microgreens at about 100 bottles a week. So that's where we are right now. And we wanted to prove, and I think we have proved that it is really possible to do this.
And what are the effects of this? Well, other than not having to deal with the nagging thought that, you are eating poison, we are today eating food that we know that are being grown by people that love us. We are essentially feeding our loved ones. As a medical doctor and as they like to call me the nerd on the farm, I like to take records and make observations. What kind of observations have we found? Do you remember what we mentioned about the children with skin disease, with eczema and asthma? Our children with eczema right now do not have to use steroid creams anymore. There is something about coming to the farm that helps them to decrease their allergies and their asthma. And this is proven and documented in farms all over the world, in Europe, in America. Now, you remember about the women that couldn't get pregnant? 4 women, and one of them is my wife, with baby bumps. With baby bumps. And 3 of these women were actually diagnosed with medical condition. That means proven, ultrasound specialists have already seen that they would have trouble conceiving. Amazing things are happening. Our old people, my father now can read his newspaper, right, with brighter eyes, Our young children, previously loving only fast food, are like munching our microgreens. But what about the cancer patients? What about the young ones that had kidney failures? Well, I want to tell you as a scientist and as a doctor, we do not have enough evidence. We do not have enough cold hard facts that our vegetables are a cure-all. Don't come to me and expect that our vegetables are the Holy Grail. As a scientist, my mind is not fully convinced that our vegetables can cure everything. But other than my mind, my heart is telling me something else. My heart is telling me that we are doing something right amidst all these troubles. My gut feeling is that, like the vegetables that are slowly killing us, what we are doing, growing our own vegetables, our vegetables are slowly healing us.
So, Rumi once said, the great poet Rumi once said, beyond right and wrong, there is a garden. I will meet you there. So we say beyond pills and surgeries, there is a farm in JB. We will meet you there.
Yes.